Not really a field day in Columbus, but the Buckeyes survive. Nebraska received its black shirts this week, but then they quickly faded. Northwestern teaches old school Wisconsin a lesson. The Wildcats get caught up in a cyclone. Big. UCLA chips away, but can't take down the Ducks. Garantano in Tennessee gets smoked by Monday on a Saturday night. JT finally gets his chance. And Bedlam, owned by Oklahoma. Again, MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, here on a Saturday night of college football as we head toward Thanksgiving and conference championship races are heating up, becoming more defined, and we are starting to get answers to our questions of who's truly a contender and who is falling by the wayside. Certainly appreciate everyone online right now as people start to filter in. We've got a couple games still left on the field. In Piscataway, New Jersey, it's certainly not 78-0 Michigan, but the Wolverines have widened the gap against Rutgers 35-27. So the Scarlet Knights are still within one score of Michigan. That is the state of Michigan football. They are celebrating a touchdown to take an 8-point lead and meet the point spread against Rutgers. So the Scarlet Knights have the ball with just about 5 minutes left to play at home and have a shot at tying the game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. We also have USC and Utah on the field, the opening game for the Utes. And the Trojans, of course, at 2-0 with two unimpressive wins against Arizona and Arizona State. And Oklahoma putting the finishing touches on Oklahoma State. Last score I caught was 34-13 Sooners. And that will really jumble up the Big 12 race, but put the Sooners in control with only 2 losses and head-to-head wins against Oklahoma State and Texas. Texas, Iowa State on Black Friday, a huge game in the Big 12. All right, I'm going to run down the scores, my thoughts. Please catch our instant analysis of many of the games from this afternoon, my take on Ohio State and Indiana, as well as contributors weighing in on LSU and Arkansas. Tigers win at 27-24, entertaining game there. Again, the Buckeyes survive Indiana, 42-35. I give my 4 takes on the Buckeyes, 3 of them negative, 1 a big positive for Ohio State in this one over Indiana. We talked Florida and Vanderbilt. Check out that instant analysis as well. Also, Nebraska and Illinois, the Huskers, as I said off the top, they got the black shirts handed to them this week, and then Illinois handed them a 25-point loss. Or check that, an 18-point loss, but as a 16-point dog. Nebraska football, Michigan football. Why don't we throw in there Virginia Tech football? Virginia Tech football losing to Pitt 47-14 today. South Carolina football blanked by Missouri last I checked 17-0. We'll check out that score. Let's run down the scores. Of course, I'm going to take your calls at 860-325-3687, 860-325-3687. Of course, join us on Patreon. At Patreon, you get the insider look, and much more patrons will be coming in regarding an insider look. You get my predictions. You get the lock of the week from Steve Merrill. Plus, we're also going to be providing some more betting advice from Steve Merrill, some money management tips. Also, you get the exclusive live stream per request. I tack that on per request, exclusive live streams. We've done about 15. And watch parties over on Patreon. 15 cents per day. That's what you get there. See below. Shop Amazon. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. You folks are going to be on Amazon all over the place on Amazon. You might as well use my link and help keep this baby going. The Super Chat's available to you as well. All right, let's talk college football and run through the scores. Rutgers is taking shots at the end zone on Michigan. Uh-oh. We don't want the top 25 scores. We want all the scores. Don't you hate when you have to watch the... Oklahoma 41, Oklahoma State 13 with just a few minutes left in the game. Many people thought, including myself, that the Cowboys had the best team in the Big 12, had the best defense in the Big 12. They do not. Oklahoma laid down some defense tonight against Oklahoma State, knocked Spencer Sanders out of the game. Ailingsworth came in, couldn't get anything done except a couple field goals. Oklahoma put the smackdown on early 21-0, and they were by far the best team on the field. I don't know how that speaks to the rest of the results, whether Oklahoma's just gaining that kind of momentum. Spencer Rattler's getting much, much better. He showed us his talent from week one, but he made crucial mistakes at bad times. I guess they wouldn't be crucial mistakes if they were made at good times. Again, Rutgers threatening in the red zone. Michigan leads 35-27, 1 minute to play. Washington 44, Arizona 6. Does that tell us anything about USC? USC could barely squeak by Arizona last weekend. I think it tells us something, but I don't think that we can draw definite conclusions from Washington pummeling Arizona 44-6. Kevin Sumlin, hot seat. End of the first quarter at Bryce Eccles Stadium, Utah and USC knotted at 3. Boise State's out in Hawaii. They just started. So if you want some late night football, then you go to the Hawaii-Boise State game, whomever's broadcasting that one. That's your game. CBS Sportsnet, Boise State at Hawaii. That might still be on when we get off here. It better be. Alabama throttled Kentucky 63-3. Did anybody even watch one play of that game? I have not, and I will not. Ohio State 42-35 over Indiana. My instant analysis, and of course I'll take your phone calls on all of this. Florida beat Vandy 38-17. We've got a video posted on that. Thrilling game at UCF in Orlando with Cincinnati defeating UCF 36-33. BYU with another tough one this weekend against North Alabama. I think this, for people that are promoting BYU to make the college football playoff, I think games like this and pretty much every game this season will surely prepare Zach Wilson and BYU for the college football playoff. North Alabama today, 48-7. Northwestern Wisconsin, 17-7 final there. Looked like somebody wanted to call. Oregon held off UCLA and backup quarterback. Can't remember the kid's name now. Chase something. 38-35.
The call will start at the beep.
Hey, it's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hello, me again.
Hello? Who is it?
Oh, sorry, Roberto LeBron.
Yeah. Hello?
All right. So I have like a couple of lists I want to talk about on the Ohio State Indiana game.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on with the secondary of their team. They're looking worse. And you said in the video before the instant analysis that like it was like scheme and misalignments, but then I remember when you talked about like that Penn State game when they were like lining up so much gaps.
Yeah.
And they were just letting them get killed in the inside routes. Then even the 50-50 balls with Dawson beating Sean Wade.
Yep.
I don't know if it's either I mean, it's kind of hard to say if it's a scheme issue, but like defensive secondary is just not looking really good at all.
Well, what I had to say today in the video that I posted is that I saw plays where one of three things happened. I saw all three happen at some point where either, number one, there was a blown coverage. Number two, there was good coverage, but the defensive back just didn't make a play on the ball and didn't break up the pass, but he had good coverage. He was right there. Or number three, where the player got burned. I saw all three.
Oh, yeah, there was one that was really badly burned. I mean, like the seventh bank of the first default play.
Yeah.
I think like he got away with it a little bit of the hold on the bottom of the jersey. But if that didn't happen, he probably would have got burned for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I got a list here that they allowed 491 passing yards, 4 plays of 50 or more. I mean, is this looking like 2018 Ohio State defense? I mean, the 2018 Ohio State defense had some like bad plays where they allow like 90 plus rushing yards per touchdown, so it's kind of hard to compare. But they never allowed 400, almost 500 yards. I think the most they allowed in 2018 was 387. I don't know who was it against. I think the Brat. Oh yeah, 2018 was it against Michigan or I don't know what game it was. Oh, I think. But the secondary is looking terrible. And the pressure did not help. Only 2 sacks on Indiana. The only positive was the run game was good, but then I don't know what happened in the second half or fourth quarter. Didn't do well with keeping the offense on the field and extending drives. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to compete for a deep playoff run. They don't look like Oklahoma in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that I think it's concerning. I think it's legitimate. I also think that it's easier to clean up those issues than to clean up the issues that they suffered in 2018. To get battered up front and to give up gashes in the run game when you're being physically whipped or your linebackers aren't quick enough in space to make the tackle or run down a ball carrier, I think is more alarming and more difficult to fix than it is pass defense. I think that they're going to have to become more complex, possibly. They're going to have to come up with some ways to pressure the quarterback, because the best friend of any pass defender in coverage is heat on the quarterback. That will always make a secondary look so much better. So if they can get more heat on the quarterback, nobody's running on them at this point, and I don't see anybody in the Big Ten running on them. I don't know that anybody in the country is going to run on them. That I think that pressure on the quarterback is going to be their best friend.
See, so I'm thinking of something in part.
All right. Anything else?
I think because my calendar lost it.
Well, I appreciate the call. Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, look, the play calling. Yeah. I don't know why they were not running a lot of screens against those heavy blitzers, because every single time they were getting pressure, it was from the A-gaps. And there's a lot of miscommunication there. Like, I think they're letting the center or one of the guards let the guys go through. Then there was some edge. I think in the second half, there was some edge pressure by in the corners, stopping the run game.
Well, for a team that fell in love with bubble screens and tunnel screens as much as Ohio State did for a few years, it is kind of curious that they don't throw many of those anymore.
I mean, I like the halfback screen, but they only ran it twice. One of them, I think, was well read, and I think Fields kept it. I think it was in the big play, second interception. I don't know. Like, they were trying to run, they ran one of the halfback screens, and the other time was like their first down up to Sermon. That was a good wide receiver screen by Olave. But other than that, that was it. They weren't throwing like quick in routes or quick slant routes in the middle to counter the blitzes. Even so, I don't think the offensive line was doing a good job either way, because there's always going to be somebody in field space.
Yeah, I did not think that the offensive line protected well. I thought the run blocking was really good.
It was really good. I think there could have been more. Like, I feel like Master Teacher had 200 rushing yards in that game. If he was continuing to follow the blockers to the outside, so there were some plays where he could have probably ran for more instead of cutting back to like game of 2 or 4. I don't know. It was really good run blocking. The problem was they couldn't like continue to produce in the run game. I think in the fourth quarter when we were getting stalled, and Indiana was just lighting it up. Phoenix and his receivers. Other than that, that's all I have.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our best indication this season until the Big Ten championship game how good this team is. I think it's going to be difficult to be able to tell much from here on out, although Illinois is going to be more of a capable opponent than we anticipated. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. It's 860-325-3687. Let me get it up there. There you go. It's right on the bottom there. 860-325-3687. John, yeah, get those likes up there. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Appreciate some contributions coming in. Dominic Bolick. It's going well, Dominic. Especially thanks to you. Thank you for your contribution. Hopefully we put together a good show for you tonight. You guys produce the show. You ask the questions. You let me know what you want to talk about. Otherwise, I'm going to ramble on about all these games that happened today. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. It's Nate, the Forward fan. How are
Nate.
you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Uh-oh. Rutgers scored. I'm doing good. I'm watching the Michigan game right now. So,
Oh, boy. Was this a good time for you to call?
Well, I mean, I was going to talk about the Indiana game and how it's taking. I was going to talk about that and just give you an update, though. So, in my perspective, in the Indiana game and how it's taking, I think Indiana's team looks pretty good, but although lost, but not in a close one though. That one last play kind of chewed him up. The pitching, I don't know what it was, but the last play of the game. But it was a close game. I would say it's a great game. But what's your thoughts on that game?
Well, I think Ohio State got sloppy. I think Justin Fields played the worst game of his career for him. If that was another quarterback, it wasn't necessarily a horrible game, but for Justin Fields, it was a horrible game. The pass protection was bad. The defensive secondary play was bad. Those are the three areas Ohio State did not play well today. Pass protection, Justin Fields, and the secondary, again, is a big concern. The running game looked great for Ohio State. The pass receivers are still elite. The run defense is still elite. If I didn't know anything about those two teams, if I knew nothing about Ohio State and Indiana, and I just turned on a college football game and watched that game, I would say that they are more comparable than I know that they are, meaning that Ohio State's, and I'm sure you've got your eyes on the TV screen right now, but for anybody that doesn't have the Big Ten Network out there, Rutgers is going for a 2-point play to tie Michigan, and it looks like they just got it. So with 27 seconds left, Rutgers has converted a 2-point play and tied Michigan 35-all. That Rutgers quarterback is that, Noah Vedral. He was hit at like the 3.
too.
He was hit at like the 3-yard line. He should have been stopped. He should have been stopped before that. Okay.
Oh, dang.
But again, my thoughts on the
All right.
Buckeyes is that they're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the country, and Indiana's one of the 20 or 25 best teams in the country. But if all I had to go on was today's game, I would say that those teams are closer than I would otherwise. Thanks for the call, Nate. I appreciate it. Hang in there.
You're welcome. Talk to you later.
Start the call or to decline.
It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, I'm just wondering, when is Dan Mullen going to fire Todd Grant? I mean, this whole season as a Gator fan has got to be the worst Gator defense I think I've ever witnessed. And they're averaging 400 points, 400 yards given up a game, and averaging at least 17 to 20 points given up a game. That is not a Gator defense. And I'm just waiting for the day that Dan Mullen fires Todd Grant. And I wouldn't be opposed to going after Will Muschamp as the defensive coordinator getting in there to coach his defense. Because this defense is horrible as a Gator fan to watch.
Well, I can understand what you're looking at there. I think you also need to understand that everybody's scoring more points and gaining more yards than they used to. So you can't set the standard against what was going on in 2012 or 2013. But I understand your frustration. I'm not discounting it, but you're not going to get rid of your defensive coordinator at this point of the season. It's just not going to happen.
You look at the past 2 years.
Yep.
He had a lot of players covering for him. He had both Sean Joseph covering for him, Ja'Kai Polite, Jonathan Bernard, Chauncey Garner-Johnson, T.J. Henderson. Now we're seeing a true Todd Grantham team without elite pass rushers and an elite secondary. And we're just seeing that he cannot get any pressure of the quarterback. He gives up on third down every play. I mean, he'll be third and 19 and he'll give up the first down on that kind of play. The whole game today against Vanderbilt, I was watching, the guys couldn't tackle for anything. It's like they're not trying to practice tackling. I mean, that one TD Vanderbilt got their last TD was probably the worst defensive play I've ever seen out of a Florida Gator football team. It was so bad. I mean, we need to do something with getting rid of Todd Grantham because we're seeing a true Todd Grantham defense. He's not having these elite guys cover for him and first-round draft picks covering for him. He's dealing with raw talent that he's not doing anything with. I mean, at the end of the year, I hope he finds himself got a job. I don't see us beating Bama because of his defense. I didn't even see us beating Bama against Ole Miss the first game of the season. That defense is so bad. I mean, we gave up, 38 points against Ole Miss?
Yeah,
You went
35.
to an elite, hyper-powered offense like Mac Jones and all that. They'll rip that defense to shreds. I mean, Trask is great. We struggle playing behind, and I feel like in that SEC championship, we're going to be behind a good chunk of that game. It's going to be a good game, but we're just going to be behind. And Muller's ability to coach from behind has been questionable at best. I mean, he got lucky today, but overall, over the past couple of years, it's like if he gets behind by by 14 points, he just gives up. He throws the playbook out the window and he doesn't be aggressive. He doesn't try to play ball. He just lets teams run all over him if he gets down by 10 to 14 points, which is embarrassing. I feel like Todd Grantham has not prepared this team enough defensively to play SEC football. I just don't feel like he's playing enough. I don't feel like he's prepared them enough. I mean, for every game this season, defensively, we've given up a score on the first possession. Very first possession. That is the first time, I believe, in Gator football history that we've given up a touchdown every game of the season on the first possession. Very first possession. I mean, you come out, mean, for Gator defense has been our golden standard. Even through this past decade, with offenses that suck. Our golden standard is defense. This year, it's offense. Defense is horrible. It is so bad. And then it's Todd Grantham, and it's mowing and saying, oh, but we won, so I'm not going to make coaching changes and invest in looking at a new coach because we got to win. I mean, it's just getting to a point where we're going to have to get smacked around by Alabama to wake Dan Mullen up to realize Todd Grantham's not the guy. He's the guy that aims for kicks on first and second down, and if he doesn't get it, gets up on third down. I mean, there's an old thing that I heard going in when Dan Mullen brought Todd Grantham third and Grantham. I believe it. I believe that so strongly because he just gives up on third down consistently. He consistently gives up on a third down. He aims for these glory kicks on first and second down, and doesn't get it, he gives up. And it can't blitz the quarterback, he gives up. It's just so bad. I mean, I'm getting to the point where Mullen's a great offensive coach, but I feel like he just doesn't care about the defense. He's ready for this hyper-powered offense, which he's got. You know, Kyle Trask, I believe he's going to win the Heisman this year. But he's going to have to score 10 touchdowns against Alabama to get it. He's going to have to score at least 10 to get it.
Well, he's going to have to care about defense if he wants to win championships, and I believe that he does. And that's evaluation is going to be made in the off season, but nobody's going to get fired as a defensive coordinator for a team that's going to go to the conference championship game in season. So that's an evaluation Dan Mullen's going to have to make in the off season. I would tend to agree with you, but I would also understand that, like you mentioned, that they've lost a lot of pass rushing talent off of last year's team.
Well, we were, I guess, lied to about Brendan Cox's ability. Because, remember when he transferred, they said he was going to be an R 2.0. I think he's extremely underperformed in that scenario. We're not really recruiting well in the way of a true pass rusher. Secondary, we need help in. We need to recruit secondary. We do get Jason Marshall coming in a 5-star DB, but we need a class of at least 3 5-star DBs to replace these garbage ones that pushed them out. I mean, Marco Wilson's getting burned just about as bad as his brother got burned whenever he played for us, Clinton, obviously. It's just, we've got to do something as defensive coordinator. We need to bring in a recruiting coordinator who can recruit big defensive guys. And then we can bring in the top offensive talents in the world. But if that defense is choking you games away, you got to start recruiting in that field. You have to. I mean,
well, you're obviously frustrated, but look at the bright side. You're in the SEC championship game. You beat Georgia for the first time in a number of years, and you've got a shot. If nothing else, you've got a shot, and you are one of the best 5 or 6 teams in the country.
I mean, well, we beat Georgia in 2015 and went into the SEC championship and got the brakes beat out of them.
Well, that team could play defense, but that team had no quarterback or no passing game, as you well know.
Yes, but to say we beat Georgia and offense at the time that was junk, we're going to go against an offense that doesn't miss a beat. That very seldom, very rarely misses a beat. Our run defense is garbage. I mean, it was an 0-6 Vanderbilt. Ran that ball as if they had Najee Harris back there running the ball. No one.
Hello, sir. We appreciate the call. Got to take this call coming in. Thanks so much for the call.
Yeah, have a good one.
Mark Rogers TV. Let's go this round first. Gator fan. coming in strong. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
That was the smartest Florida fan I have ever heard. I hope you listened to everything he said, Mark. But hey, Florida man, relax, buddy. Everybody, yes, you're right. Todd Grantham is terrible. Everyone knows that. Everyone already knew that when Dan Mullen hired him. But listen, dude, half glass full, buddy. Count your blessings. You somehow managed to win a division with Dan Mullen. Do you know how hard that is, Florida man? That's a minor miracle. Somebody should report the Florida Gators to the Pope or the Catholic Church or whoever it is that hands out sainthoods. I think you have to have 3 miracles. This is one. Dan Mullen won a division. So be happy that you got that. I mean, now if that's all you're going to get, he's 100% right. Smartest Florida fan ever. That team I saw today ain't gonna. It's not gonna beat Alabama. It's just not gonna happen. Blame Todd Grantham if you want to. Dan Mullen, 12 years, no conference title. That's not changing this year. You know it. I know it. And the American people know it. Dan Mullen, the highest paid clown in the history of Barnum and Bailey. But why is everybody talking about Florida and Alabama and Ohio State and Indiana and Rutgers and Michigan and all these other teams that nobody cares about, and not talking about the best, greatest story in all of college football, and that is J.T. Daniels Christ. 28 of 38, 401 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 74% completion percentage. And Mark Rogers, we rushed for 8. Yes, that's right, 8 yards today against Bigfoot and that Mike Leach defense. Our defense never even showed up at all today. And guess what that means, Mark Rogers? That means Georgia's quarterback won a game. Let me repeat that. Georgia's quarterback won a game. That is the biggest story in all of college football. It has not happened since 2016, Mark Rogers. Would you disagree?
I was going to throw out Aaron Murray, but if you're going to go 2016, we can go 2016, sure.
Yes. There is a game or two that you can credit Jacob Eason for winning in 2016. We didn't have a quarterback win us a single game in 17, 18, or 19, and he damn sure didn't have Stetson Bennett or DeJuan Mathis win you a game. They rode along for the ride in 17, 18, 19, in the first 5 or 6 games of the season this year. But tonight, Mark Rogers, the sky cracked open. Down came J.T. Daniels Christ on a white, puffy 18 speed, fresh from the West Coast. Mark Rogers, J.T. Daniels Christ is such a deity. He raised Demetrius Robertson from the dead, sir. Demetrius Robertson with multiple catches today for UGA. The first time since 2016 that anyone knew about or cared anything about Demetrius Robertson. Yes, it took a Pac-12 quarterback to bring Demetrius Robertson back to life. J.T. Daniels Christ. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I feel sorry for whoever Georgia plays in the Outback Bowl. Don't you?
Well, something tells me that if I click on your channel and catch your Georgia post game, that I'm going to hear much of this take from the heavens.
Yes.
Now, how did Georgia only run for 8 yards? I did look at that box score as well. I only saw one play in the game. I saw the J.T. Daniels bomb that he threw for the touchdown. That's the only play. I did DVR the game. I don't know if I'll get a chance to watch it, but the stats do look impressive. But that is Mississippi State. You're not going to go too hog wild on one game, are you?
I'm not going on. I agree. It's Mississippi State.
Okay.
But Mark Rogers.
Yeah.
Auburn, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Kentucky. Are these elite teams?
Absolutely not, but I think they're better defensively than Mississippi State.
28 of 38, 401 yards, 73% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. I get it that it's Mississippi State. And no, J.T. Daniels is no Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Kyle Trask or Mac Jones, but that's not where the bar is at UGA, sir. 9 of 29 for 112 yards against that terrible Todd Grantham defense that the Florida man was just talking about. Do you remember that?
I've got the perfect guy on the line. I've got the perfect guy on the line to answer some of my questions and fill in the blanks, because I'm going to give you my 15 to 30 seconds on this situation. So I watched the Arkansas game in week 1. I saw Stetson Bennett come in. I thought that was going to be a stopgap and he was going to figure it out and get JT Daniels on the field as soon as possible. But he continued to play against, as you said, Auburn and Tennessee. And I thought, this is not going to win Georgia a national championship, but they might be able to beat Florida if they get this game manager type Jake Fromm play out of Stetson Bennett. Doesn't make any mistakes, throws for 220 a game, no picks, couple touchdowns. Maybe they nurse the best roster in the division to an SEC championship game with Stetson Bennett. But then he started making mistakes, obviously, against Alabama, and they fell apart and it came off the rails in the second half, and Stetson Bennett was just a complete train wreck. I thought the Kentucky game gave them a perfect opportunity to audition their quarterbacks to either say, we're going to take who the best quarterback is in practice and we're going to let him throw the ball like 30, 35 times because we're going to kill Kentucky. They're not going to score more than 3 points against us. And we can use this game to work on our passing game for the Florida game. Or we can audition quarterbacks, but they didn't do either one. Then they go into the Florida game. Stetson Bennett's horrible again. DeJuan Mathis is horrible. And they finally get to JT Daniels. So have you been able to uncover what the hell is going on and why JT Daniels has not been on the field before tonight?
Well, I mean, listen, I love Kirby Smart. He's quarterback ignorant.
He's great. With everything else, let him bring the kids in. As you well know, it's just a tremendous program. But my goodness, they need to break the bank and bring in the best quarterback coach that they can find. Quarterback evaluator and coach.
Listen, you know how I feel in general about the Fromm and Field situation.
Yes.
But at least, I disagree with the argument, but I understand the argument for going with Fromm over Fields. I disagree with it, but I understand it.
I'm with you. I disagree with it too, but I understand it. Yep.
Yeah.
At least he was capable.
There's no logical explanation this year. There's no logical explanation for Stetson Bennett and DeJuan Mathis over JT Daniels. Now, Kirby can't, Kirby tells everybody, well, we play the quarterback who gives us the best chance to win and looks the best to play. You know that's a lie about Justin Fields and Jake Fromm. Any idiot that's never seen a football game can watch Justin Fields warm up for 5 minutes to clearly tell he's better than Fromm. But so you got to think, so there is no explanation. Now, I'm assuming Kirby is going to use JT Daniels' knee as an excuse. That's all it is an excuse. You don't clear a player to play once. You understand this. Numbers are what they are. You're not allowed to just dress out people for fun and travel 200 players to an away game. You have limited numbers, and these coaches, they want every available player for special teams and depth and all that kind of stuff. You're not dressing JT Daniels out and taking him to any game. He's not available to play. So it was a coaching decision not to play JT Daniels until today. And that's on her. Now, the Georgia media is a bunch of wet paper towels. They're not going to push him on that. They're going to buy whatever BS excuse he trots out in the post-game press conference today. But honestly, Kirby was in a no-win situation today. JT Daniels plays great. The obvious questions are going to come. What the hell were you waiting for? If JT Daniels would have came out and played terrible today, and you go, why are you recruiting all these terrible quarterbacks? So he's in a no-win situation, but he created this situation himself. But I didn't call in the bash today. Today's a great day. Everyone should be on their knees right now and worship at the altar of JT Daniels Christ. Georgia found the quarterback running high.
Appreciate that, Lou. All right, Uncle Lou. I can't disagree with him. I've been right there with him. I was a little bit more of a supporter of Jake Fromm than him, but I agree that you play the best quarterback, and it's obvious in practice. These coaches know who's good and who's not good, or who's great and who's good, or who's acceptable. In 2018, Clemson was winning football games. They were undefeated early in the season. They had gone to the college football playoff and won the ACC with Kelly Bryant as the starting quarterback. In that conference, with that roster and that talent, Dabo Swinney could have gone to another ACC championship, won it, gone to the college football playoff with Kelly Bryant as the quarterback in 2018. But he did what he knew he needed to do to win a national championship, and that's take the freshman, roll the dice just a little bit, roll the dice, play the freshman. His name's Trevor Lawrence. He goes on and wins a national championship. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's Dominic.
Hey, Dominic. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate it so much.
No problem. Anytime, man.
So what's going on tonight?
So, nothing much, really. I mean, you know, let me just take a So, I mean, you know, things have been doing pretty well for college football. I mean, Week 12 has been an absolute bang. I mean, you know. So, you know, Michigan and the Rutgers game, I'm pretty sure that's tied, and I'm pretty sure it's in overtime.
Rutgers just scored. They're up by a touchdown. Michigan's got the ball.
Oh. Well, I mean, you know, I am just, you know, enjoying everything. But I mean, you know, hey, we'll see how week 13 turns out, you know.
Who are you a fan of? Who's your team?
Which team in college football?
Yes, your college football team.
I'm going to have to go with Alabama.
Okay. You just made that decision tonight.
Well, I mean, the Alabama game, that was pretty interesting. I mean, you know, with the way things turned out in that game, I mean, I did not know Alabama was going to beat them that bad. But, I mean, you know, it was a pretty good game nonetheless, man, but pretty much enjoyable.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, Dominic. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you got?
No, that's pretty much it, Mark.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Nope. You too, Mark.
Just decided to become an Alabama fan tonight. Okay. Michigan in trouble, but they're down to the 7. Okay, got a first down at the 7, trying to defeat mighty Rutgers. David, any team with a decent quarterback and a couple good receivers are going to put points on the board. The lack of an offseason has hurt a lot of teams. It's also just the style of play we see. If you look at the scores, look at the yardage totals over the last few years, they just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. And yes, Tony, I give my callers a ton of time to ramble. But if somebody's on here rambling and somebody else calls, then I go to the next call. I will always go to the next call. So keep calling and you'll get the bad calls off. If you want the bad calls off, call in. Roberto, right now, elite will only be respected if you win natty in playoffs or at least be competitive. Don't know what that necessarily refers to. A lot of people are commenting, or some people are commenting, that if JT Daniels would have played against Alabama and Florida, that Georgia would have won those games. I don't necessarily believe that. JT Daniels is an elite talent coming out of high school, 5-star, #1 quarterback in the country, signed at USC, misses his final year of high school football so he can go to USC. Think about being that good that you intentionally miss and bypass your senior season in high school to go to USC and try to compete for the starting job, which he won as a freshman at USC. And that particular USC team in 2018 was not good, but there was still talent there. He had elite receivers to throw to, but had a horrendous offensive line. and they went 5-7. He put up decent numbers: 58% completion percentage, 14 TDs, 10 picks. He played okay. I watched a lot of JT Daniels, and he was fine. He was for somebody who should have been playing a senior year in high school, just turning 18 years old. He played well. And here he is playing for Georgia. Georgia, unfortunately, doesn't have any decent teams to play the rest of the year. I think after here, Mississippi State, it's like Vandy and Missouri, or Vandy and some semblance of Vandy and South Carolina. Maybe they've already played one of them. Yeah, their last few games are awful. They will maybe, I don't think they've missed a game so that they wouldn't play a postponed game on SEC Championship game weekend. Then they've got, of course, the bowl game. As Lou said, the Outback Bowl. Northwestern, my team of the day. Impressive, impressive, impressive. I thought Wisconsin was the second best team in the Big Ten. Now, I did think Northwestern was going to cover the points, so I gobbled up those points without thinking about it. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's Matthew. I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Hey, Matthew. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I was going to ask you, because I actually find it interesting when you do this, if you had to rank the Power 5 conferences as of now, how would you rank them?
Okay. Well, if you've been watching for quite some time, you know that I've ranked them in the past in the offseason based on the results on the field. So I've done it very systematically. What you're asking me to do now is basically just by the eyeball test, rank them. Because the results, if you follow me, don't matter. They don't tell us anything. The results don't tell us anything because we don't have any non-conference games to go by. So we really can't compare the conferences based on the results between each other because they haven't played each other. Okay, we're going to include Notre Dame in the ACC, obviously, so that gives a big boost to the ACC. Based on what I've seen, I would really love to go through this process by ranking the teams within each conference and then trying to determine how good is, like if I think that Wisconsin's the second best team in the Big Ten, matching them up against Notre Dame and Florida and on and on and on and on, and coming to some kind of determination like that. But off the top of my head, I'm going to go SEC number 1, ACC number 2, Big Ten number 3, Big 12 number 4, and the Pac-12 number 5.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I have another question.
Okay.
Well, I agree with you on that. The only thing I would say is, to me, the Big Ten, the bottom of it seems really bad this year.
The bottom of the Big Ten.
Yes.
And again, understand what you're saying when you say seems, because it all has to do with what it seems to be, because we don't have any way to compare it.
Yeah, exactly. It could be maybe the Big Ten's really good and they're just beating up on each other. That's why, that's why I said teams. I don't know. Like you said, they're out of conference games.
That's why the bowl games will be interesting. They're always interesting to me. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah. College football has been good and it's always going to be good. But, yeah, do you know if they're expanding bowl season, keeping it the same? Because I know everyone's bowl eligible this year, so I'm not sure on that.
That's kind of a curious thing, is that everybody's bowl eligible, but we only had 41 bowl games to begin with, and there were about 5 bowl games that said that they are not playing. They are not going to host a game this year. The Holiday Bowl was one of those bowl games. There were about 5. We were down to about 35 or 36 bowl games, so that means we're only going to have 70 teams, roughly 70 teams participate. So even though everyone's eligible, everyone cannot participate in a bowl game because there's simply not enough bowl games.
Yeah, I've actually found that really interesting. I know makes me a really big nerd on this, but I would actually like to see like Kansas versus Rutgers or whoever's the worst team in the Big Ten.
Oh, I would love it.
The bottom of the conferences.
Yeah, for even the teams that aren't able to get into bowl games, since everybody says, or the NCAA, which why the NCAA has power over this, I have no idea. Even outside of these bowl games, I think we should just make up bowl games and say, let's see the teams that did make bowl games and let them play. Yeah, let's play the worst team in the Big Ten against the worst team in the Big 12 and so forth and so on. And I would sit here through the last couple of weeks of December and watch those games one after another. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, they could do that if you really want. I mean, this would never happen, but if you wanted the truest champion, you could do that before you make up the Final Four, and then you could just, because that could dictate, you know, how the teams are arranged and everything, because it's based on the conference, they play in the bottom of the teams, the middle tier teams, stuff like that.
Well, there's just not enough weeks in the season for everybody to play like that.
Yeah, I know. It's a dream world. And then my second to last question would be, if you were at Michigan, if you had the power, magic wand, you could hire anyone that coaches in college football, whatever division you wanted to, who would you choose?
So I can't bring somebody out of retirement?
No.
Okay. But I can hire somebody away from another school?
Yes, but it has to be realistic, like not Ryan Day, Nick Saban.
Okay, I don't get those guys. It has to be realistic. All right.
Yes.
Mario Cristobal. Is that realistic?
Okay. Why is that?
Because he's building an upper echelon elite program at Oregon. He's a tremendous recruiter. He gains a ton of respect from his players. They play hard for him. He's, from a tactician standpoint, a solid coach. He built a tremendous offensive line at Oregon, and he's known for physical football that would fit the Big Ten. You got to understand, though, if you gave me that kind of power, that I would want an hour or two to think about it. But you know, if this was real life, I would. But if you're talking about me responding in 3 or 4 seconds, I'll take Mario Cristobal.
Okay. Do you think that's possible for them?
I don't know what his aspirations are. Money is obviously a huge factor in this. I don't know how much he makes, but the Pac-12 generally pays less than the other leagues. He has necessarily no reason, unless he's some huge historian of college football who wants to succeed at a blue blood type program. There's no reason for him to leave Oregon to go to Michigan.
Yeah, I would say at this point, with Michigan's recent history, that's kind of a level move that isn't moving up.
Sure, it is.
In my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
My next question is, I'm a Texas fan, and do you think, obviously, I don't want this, but do you think we have any shot at actually getting Urban Meyer? Do you think that's just blowing smoke?
I think if Urban Meyer is seriously healthy, and that's something only he and his wife and his doctor know. But if he has either overcome whatever medical issues he had, which were well documented at the time, or I hate to say this, they never truly existed, then I would think that the two places that have coaching hot seats that are at the level of stature that would be able to hire Urban Meyer are USC and Texas. And I think Texas is taking football more seriously than USC right now. And so he would be more prone to go to Texas because he knows that he would not run into financial issues at Texas like he might at USC. USC is a bit cheap.
Yeah, I agree with that. I got in a couple arguments with. I agree. I don't think the company agrees. If he's healthy, I believe those would be the two spots. And yeah, and also you don't realize he's got a defensive coordinator at Texas. He loves and raves about him. And then Mike Yurcich, I know I don't not 100% sure if he's ever worked under him, but he runs his. I know he run a type of system that Urban Meyer would like to run.
Yes, he did.
And then the last thing I would like to talk about, okay, so Joel Platt and Colin Cowherd were talking, and Colin Cowherd was throwing out teams and what their average win per season should be, like what the expectation should be. So I'm going to throw out a couple to you, and I'm going to have you decide what you think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee.
I think that Tennessee should expect, its fan base should expect that within a 5-year time frame, that most seasons that they're competing for the division championship, at worst, they're going 8-4, 7-5, like once every 5 years. But the other 4 years that they are seriously competing for the division championship and going to the SEC title game. And so they're one of the top 10 to 15 teams in the nation most of the time.
Okay. Michigan.
Michigan should be competing for the Big Ten championship. They should be on the same level as Ohio State. The recruiting is a little bit tougher there because they don't have as much in-state talent, but they should be in that same range as Tennessee, 10 to 15 in the country almost all the time and on a regular basis competing for the Big Ten championship.
Okay, what about Auburn?
Auburn. Auburn has been able to, Auburn has one of the strangest recent histories of any team in college football. They peak and then they slide, and they have rolled up more 7-5s and 8-4s, but then, of course, they peaked in 04 with an undefeated season. They peaked in 10 with the national championship. They peaked in 13, coming within seconds of another national championship. Auburn should be going 9-3 most seasons and should be challenging Alabama and LSU for the West somewhat consistently.
Okay. And then, final two, Nebraska?
Nebraska should be shooting to be the next Wisconsin. There is no reason that they shouldn't at least be Wisconsin. They should be thinking not nationally, they should be thinking more regionally, and that their number one goal should be, we should be as good as any program in this division. And Wisconsin's the standard right now. I know that they lost today, but thinking overall, Wisconsin is by far the standard in that division. And there's no reason, based on their brand, their tradition, their facilities, their resources, their money, their recruiting footprint. It's easier for Nebraska to go down to Texas and get players than it is Wisconsin. That Nebraska their goal should be to take down Wisconsin and be the best program in the Big Ten West.
Okay. And then Texas.
Texas should be a top 5 program in the nation. They should be competing. They should be slightly above Oklahoma in the Big 12. In a 10-year span, Texas should win 5 or 6 Big 12 championships. Oklahoma should win 3, and somebody else should win 1 or 2. They should almost own the Big 12 over Oklahoma, but with a fight. And they should be they should be competing for the college football playoff most of the time. They should be we should be talking about Texas like we talk about Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's why I know I like Steve on your channel, but I just disagree with things like that where he seems he's okay with what Herman's doing. And I agree, he's doing better in Charlie Trump, but you're also comparing him to Charlie Trump, who's probably the worst coach in Texas football history. I mean, I don't think that's who we should be comparing it to.
Yeah, I listened to that and I just let it go on, and I didn't challenge it too much, but to a certain extent. You have to be able to equate the recruiting with the expectations, and Texas is being able to bring in the players theoretically, but to not develop them into 10 and 11 and 12 win teams consistently is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue is when you have the talent to be able to develop it, push it to the NFL and win games while they're there. That's my biggest issue. I mean, I believe the fifth or sixth best roster for your recruiting. So to me, we should, in this type of season, I think one loss is each other with anything more than that is not. I think Herman, in my opinion, has to. And we cannot get our mind not on the table. But if he is on the table, Herman has to win out and win the Big 12 championship and win his bowl games today, in my opinion.
Yeah, Texas is in kind of a dangerous position right now, because if they don't start turning these near elite recruiting classes into Big 12 contenders, if not national contenders, then they're going to start losing a lot. And I think that they are. I think in this next recruiting cycle, they're not picking up as many Texas players because they benefit from just the volume of tremendous talent there. And for them to start losing the top 10 players in that state, because if they continue to lose 4 and 5 games every year, those players are going to say, why am I going to go when Texas has never proved to me? And we got to keep in mind, they're 18 years old. In their lifetimes of actually understanding what's going on, Texas has done nothing.
Well, that's the thing, the longer it goes on, the more and more they're going to forget, because 2005 is a long time ago. I mean, Quinn Ewers, which don't even get me started on that, but what is he, 18 in 2022, so he would have been 1 year old when he won. He doesn't remember that.
Yeah, it's
The thing is that it's just going to get worse.
I have stated it a number of times when I started to put together some metrics to shoot a video. I don't think that there's any question that Texas is the most underachieving program in the country over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Matt Brown, I think, is one of the most underrated coaches of the past 2.5 decades. He with the run he had, I'd give my left foot for it.
Yeah, Mac Brown, and I fell into this at one point. He gets underestimated as he's just a good old boy who just kind of rolls the ball. You know, he's kind of the proverbial basketball coach who just bounces the ball out on the floor and lets the kids play after he recruits them. But he's much better than that, and he has shown that at North Carolina. He cleaned up that program pretty quick. Now, the work's not done, but he immediately gained credibility and respect and brought in recruits and at least fielded a winner automatically. And just look at the product that Texas put on the field prior to Mac Brown and after Mac Brown. And look at the product that North Carolina put on the field before Mac Brown the first time, and then after Mac Brown, and now before Mac Brown this next time.
Yeah, I think ESPN put out a thing where the last time North Carolina was ranked number 5 in the country, it was like 20 years ago when Mac Brown was there.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, he's very underrated. This will be my last question. If Urban Meyer doesn't come and Tom Herman were to get fired, who do you think they hire? Because I don't think there's an upgraded coach sadly from Tom Herman out there.
Yeah, let me take this call and think about it. I don't know who Texas would set their sights on. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thanks.
Texas would hire. Let me write that down so that can be in the back of my mind here. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Geez, if Rutgers would have had a kicker, Mark, they would have pulled this one out.
Oh, yeah?
Not good. Yeah, it just went final. Did you see the score?
Well, yeah, I've got it in front of me, but I haven't been able to keep track, so I didn't see where they needed a kicker.
Well, what happened is the Whitney, by the way, Dave Greenshield, if I can give an introduction here real quick.
Thanks, David.
So, yeah. Michigan missed a field goal on that first possession. Rutgers had the possession, had a chance at a field goal, and the guy hooked it like a 41-yard field goal that would have won it. So, Yeah, I tell you what. You know what? If they'd have lost that game, you think Harbaugh would they have had to fire him right on the spot? I would think he would be gone.
I have turned in a hurry on this whole Harbaugh situation. Not that I was analyzing him to have met expectations prior to this season, but this season has been so atrocious and so awful, and the narrative coming into the season so bad that, yes, I would have had, if I were running the show, I don't know what they would have done, but if I were running the show and he would have lost this game, I would have said, that's it. I'm taking my most capable assistant, whomever that is, and they're going to run the show for the rest of the season, and we're on full hiring process to find the best candidate.
Yeah, I think come on. You got to go to like triple overtime with these Rutgers or something.
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean, in fact, I'm in rock bottom. I don't know what it is. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, the new rock bottom keeps coming every week. There's a new rock bottom every week. And the other, if you follow me here, Dave, the other scores around the Big Ten do nothing but continue to underline how bad Michigan is. So we didn't know how bad Michigan was the first week. They went out and beat Minnesota, who was 11-2 last year. So, wow, they beat Minnesota by 4 scores. Well, Minnesota has since proven not to be that good. Then they go out and they lose to Michigan State, and we think, oh, well, Michigan State, okay, they did lose to Rutgers, but they turned the ball over 7 times. Maybe Michigan State's pretty good. Maybe Mel Tucker's going to do a decent job this year. No, Michigan State gets waxed by 6 touchdowns against Iowa, and they get shut out by Indiana. And then Michigan, they lose to Indiana by 3 scores. And then they play this game last week against Wisconsin, which Wisconsin's a good team. No question, they're one of the 15 best teams in America, but they're not going to beat everybody else in the Big Ten by 38 points. And then they play this game tonight.
Yeah. Remember one of the first questions I asked you on the Buckeye call was just how good is the Big Ten this year? And I really wonder, and I think I could have put this into the chat. I mean, I think 2020 is a crazy year. I mean, take a drink. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that one, I'd have a lot of nickels. But, I think the off season and the lack of spring practice has hurt a lot of football teams, with the exception of the elite teams, to be fair. And I do wonder if some of these teams have, they've had like 1 or 2 losses that have, kind of gotten them down. Like, I do wonder, Penn State was obviously both for. I wonder if Penn State would have gotten that first win over Indiana, how much that would have changed the trajectory of their season. What do you think, Buck?
Oh, I've said the same thing. We'll never know, of course, but and I don't think it's an excuse. It's almost like teams that go to bowl games that don't meet the expectation of the school or the team. I think that exists. I think that that's a very real thing, that there are teams that had a conference championship aspiration, for example. They fell short. They went 8-4, and they go to some bowl game, and they don't want to be there. But I still hold them accountable. I still hold them accountable for losing that game and getting embarrassed by a team, even though that they may slough it off as, oh, well, we didn't want to be here. Well, you know what? You're a student athlete. You're on scholarship. You're a competitor. Show up, or we're going to tag you with the loss. If you don't want to be tagged with the loss, then show up and win the game. Don't make excuses. And it's the same thing here, where I very much can believe that the way Penn State played in that game against Indiana, they showed that, at least on that day, that they were as good or better than Indiana, but they lost the game. Then their entire season was riding on Ohio State. They had to beat Ohio State to be playing for anything the rest of the season. They weren't nearly good enough. But if you take that Penn State team that showed up against Indiana and or Ohio State and send them back out on the field against Iowa and Maryland, and who else did they lose to? Nebraska. My goodness. Well, that team that showed up against Indiana and lost in overtime, or against Ohio State and stayed within 2 scores, they go out there and they beat Nebraska, and they compete much better against Iowa and Maryland, if not win those games. True. I believe that. I can't say it's true, but I believe in that theory.
Yeah, and Quack talked about this. I mean, I think the Penn State situation. Well, first of all, Franklin has a little bit of built-in equity there, Mark, from the standpoint that he's accomplished more than Harbaugh has. So he can survive a year like this.
Yes.
And probably now he's going to have to come back with a strong 2021, I believe. But he can survive a down year and say, you know what, I still have accomplished some things here in 16 and 17. So maybe let me have a comeback here in 2021 and see what I can do with that. So, I mean, you believe he's got that equity built up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, by the way, the Fighting Fitzgerald, good call today, Mark. Your man crush came through, Pat Fitzgerald. Is he still the best coach in the Big Ten?
That was rolling around in my head as I was watching that game, thinking, how would I rank the coaches right now in the Big Ten? Because prior to Ryan Day, or just after Ryan Day received the job, I don't know if you were watching at that point, but I shot a video, ranked the coaches. I did this with every conference, ranked the coaches in all the conferences. So that would have been heading into 2019. And since Ryan Day had only coached 3 games, I gave him kind of a neutral grade and ranked him like 10th in the Big Ten or something, which I knew wasn't accurate, but I had nothing to go on. And I ranked Pat Fitzgerald as the best coach in the Big Ten. And I don't know how I would rank that right now because there's such different situations to try to rank the performance of those two coaches.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, your overall theory of ranking them high, I totally get. If you take, he's the type of coach that can take, the 3-star type players, and the way he performs above where his talent level is unbelievable. And you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, they're well coached, they're a disciplined team. They always seem to play hard. So, I mean, I get your argument for him. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I get where you're coming from on that, but. Yeah, I should have taken 6-10 Pete's prediction, by the way. Bama minus 30-something against your Kentucky squad, Mark.
My Kentucky squad.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that out there, Mark.
My Kentucky squad.
Hey, you picked them to get to Atlanta, right?
I did. Does that mean Wisconsin's my team? Is Wisconsin my team? I picked them to get to Indianapolis.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Notre Dame
hey,
Notre Dame must be my team too. I picked them in the ACC championship game. They're my team.
We'll see about that one, though. That could happen.
Well, they're my team. They must be my team then. Everybody I pick must be my team.
I'm giving you a hard time, Mark.
I know you are. I'm giving it right back.
All right, my friend. Hey, well, good day at college football. Good stuff. I'll let you move on to the other college. You going to run the live stream tomorrow?
Oh, I believe so. We're going to revamp things, so we're still thinking about it. Thank you, David.
Hey, tell Steve Merrill. Tell Steve Merrill I lost money on him this week, and you better come back with some better.
Oh boy.
I'm holding out on him.
Yeah, he's going to have to give us a good pick every week. That's supposed to be, the bait that brings people in, because it's certainly not going to be my picks.
I got to pay rent. So,
all right, David.
Hey, maybe I'll start sticking with you, Mark. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right. All right, so Michigan survives. And if I can get this laptop to work, I will wait for the next call, and we will see what, this second laptop here, this MacBook Air, is just on its last leg. Okay. Boise State and Hawaii playing a scintillating game near the half, 6-3. USC 24-17 on Utah. Okay. Michigan, 48-42 against Rutgers. A Michigan defense gave up 42 points to Rutgers. 35 in regulation. Alabama, as it stands right now, is the best team in college football. Alabama is the best team in college football. Ohio State, Clemson, beyond notice. Notre Dame, Florida, you're the first one that's going to have to face them. Be on notice. You must improve. You must improve defensively. All of those teams must improve defensively. Notre Dame, you probably are playing the best defense out of all those teams I just mentioned, but you'll have to improve too and play the game of your life. Notre Dame would be the least equipped out of those teams to take on Alabama, but ironically, they're playing the best football. I think Ohio State's the best equipped, theoretically, on the roster with the quarterback and the receivers and all the talent everywhere. Ohio State's the best equipped team to take on Alabama at their peak. Not the way they're playing right now, but at their peak, I think they're the best equipped to take on Alabama and take down Alabama. But I'm going to stay with my national championship game selection. David brought up my clunker from the SEC East, but go back to my selections. Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, yes, Texas, which still could make me look better by winning the Big 12. They've got a big game against Iowa State this Friday, but that was my 4 to make the college football playoff. And I picked Alabama to beat Ohio State in the national championship game. I'll stay with it. I think the Buckeyes will improve. Ryan Day is a damn good coach. All right, so we've got one big game to go tonight, which is going to go a great distance in determining who wins the Pac-12 South Division. This is Utah, who's won that division the last 2 years, and it's USC, who's the favorite this year and who's currently 2-0. So that's a huge second half that I'm going to take in, USC and Utah 24-17. Looking ahead this week, let's look ahead. And I will announce right now, with 108 on the line, that at least through the college football season, meaning the second week of January, at least through the second week of January, I will be here live Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time to take your calls. Every night, call-in show, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, call-in show. Did I say 9 o'clock Eastern Time, call-in show every night through the national championship game and maybe the night after, so we can wrap it all up and we'll see how it goes. And I may continue that throughout the off season. But my vow is, aside from a special occasion or event here and there, every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, here. I just decided that. Okay, let's look at the games this week. On Thanksgiving night, why is there not an Ole Miss Mississippi State game on Thanksgiving night? That's every year. That's been going on since actually the first time that Ole Miss and Mississippi State decided to play on Thanksgiving night, which was a brilliant move by both programs, by both teams, both schools, to determine we're going to play on Thanksgiving night. This is back when the NFL did not play on Thanksgiving night. There was not a third NFL game, so the NFL was wrapped up by 7:30. That Mississippi State and Ole Miss decided, I believe in 1997, yes, to play on Thanksgiving night. Guess who was covering SEC football? Guess who worked at WCBI as the sports director in Columbus, Mississippi at that point, 1997? And so my last 4 Thanksgivings in Mississippi I spent at the Ole Miss Mississippi State Egg Bowl game, but I thought it was a brilliant move by both schools to say our rivalry is currently being played on a Saturday on the last week in November with Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama, Auburn, and on and on and on and on and on. All these big rivalry games, and ours gets lost. Let's take that ESPN contract. Let's get ourselves on Thanksgiving night. And for the last 24 years, the Egg Bowl's been on Thanksgiving night. And that's been a brilliant move by Mississippi State and Ole Miss. But they're not playing this Thanksgiving. I believe that they were originally scheduled. Chase Stabler, relation to Kenny? Chase Stabler, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Can you make a Gators channel? All right. Oh, we got a call coming in, but I will honor that question, of course, and get right back to you.
The call will start in a beat.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Who's on the line?
This is Jose.
Jose, how are you?
Doing fine.
Great. What's going on?
I heard you talk about Texas.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be top 5 in college football every year. And my question to you is, since Texas is having a hard time finding a coach to motivate their players, do you see a coach anywhere that could motivate these kids to be better players and motivate them to the talent they're supposed to be at?
Before I look around to name that coach, I will say that I'm impressed when I listen to Tom Herman talk. He talks like a guy who has the presence, the command, the foresight, the vision, the strength, that alpha dog male leadership quality to be able to do it, to pull it off. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why he got the job in the first place. But it just hasn't happened. So as you well know, his first season was in 2017. I thought that they had the best team. I thought that they had the best defense in the Big 12, and he's more of an offensive guy. That's his background. And I thought he would clean up the offense, and they would maintain a tremendous defense. They did lose a ton of those players to the NFL that particular year, Malik Jefferson and others. Then in 2018, he had that year. They almost won the Big 12 championship. They beat Oklahoma in the regular season. They won the Sugar Bowl. They won 10 games. They finished in the top 10, and they should have been off and running from there.
Yes.
I really don't know, in watching now a full season in 2019, and let's see, they're 5-2 right now, 7 games this season. They just look like another Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State team in the Big 12. They're just another team in the Big 12 that's kind of good, pretty good. And I just don't know what's going to have to happen to bring all that talent together that he's recruited to make it produce on the field. Okay, so that's my take on Tom Herman. In listening to him talk, seeing his presence, I understand why he got the job. I don't understand why he's not succeeding. All right. So you're asking me to submit the names of the guys who could turn around Texas, outside of the obvious guys.
Yes. Yeah, that would be
it would be interesting to see what another coach in the state of Texas who has done a lot more with a lot less would do at Texas, and that would be Gary Patterson. That would be interesting. I've always thought Gary Patterson was an excellent coach. Now he's gone through a few years now, whereas his program's on a down cycle. So maybe he's missed his time. Maybe he's kind of hit that. A lot of coaches hit that place in life where they're still working hard, but they're just not quite as hungry and willing to make all the sacrifices because they've hit a certain age. They're comfortable. They make a lot of money. They're still working hard. They're still grinding compared to the rest of us, but not just that tenacious, win at all costs. I got to have this. He might have passed that point in his career. I mentioned Mario Cristobal a few minutes ago. I think he's a tremendous coach.
Yes. They just, when they, they fired Will Muschamp, and I always thought, I was like, man, what if they could get the old Mac Brown and Will Muschamp back together?
Yeah.
Maybe make another 2005 run.
Yeah.
So, but I thank you for your time.
I like Matt Campbell too. Thank you for the call.
All right. You have a good night.
So back to our guy Chase Stabler here. So we're building a business here. We're building a vision. We have our main channel. For a number of years, a couple of years, we've had an Ohio State channel that just reached 1,000 subs and a Miami channel that's got about 4,300 subs. And the key to monetization of these channels is to get to 1,000 subs and then obviously have people watch the channel. The money that's earned from these YouTube videos is not much. That's not how this is going to be built and going to run. I'm going to have to gain sponsorships and build out Patreon and have affiliate marketing deals, and I'm going to have to do all that. Your viewership is extraordinary, and it's recognized and appreciated, but when 4,000 people watch a video, I'm going to make like $9 from that. So I say all that to basically say that I've kind of hit my limit in regards to the number of hours in the day that I have because I am willing to, for a certain frame of time, work 16 and 17 and 18 hours a day like I have for the past 6 weeks to build out all these channels because we have recently launched, if you didn't know, in addition to Miami and Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Texas, the SEC, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, Nebraska. So we've got Chase Stabler asking for a Florida Gators channel. If we do start one, what that will be primarily would be just repurposed content from the main channel here. And then if I was able to figure out how to add more hours to my day, I would certainly want to supplement that channel with unique, original content of Florida football coverage to that channel. So, yes, we could make a Gators channel, but I want it to be a quality channel, Chase. So follow me here. It takes about 25 seconds to start a YouTube channel. All you have to do is like some keystrokes and boom, there's another channel. And I could make one and would say the Voice of College Football, Florida, but I want it to be a quality effort. So that's under consideration. I think that after Ohio State, Michigan, and Miami, that Florida videos do about as well, if not better, than all the other teams that I can think of on the main channel here. So I appreciate Florida Gator fans. You guys are here for me, watching the videos and supporting it. So I would love to give you even more additional content in a place where you could just go nuts and dive into Gator football and nothing else. but I also want to do that at the best and the most quality way possible. And one of my big flaws in life is I stretch myself too thin. So that's something I already do, is I take it too much on. So right now I've got 12 channels, including all the content that you see I produce here. And I also post 2 audio podcasts. And none of that even includes all the marketing and branding and sales that I need to do to have a chance at this succeeding. And I'm definitely going to give it a year for sure, and hopefully longer than that, and give it everything I got and see if it works out. So thank you for the question. I would love to do a Gators channel, and I would love for it to be the best Gators channel that we could possibly display and deliver. But I will only do that if I feel confident that we can deliver Florida content on a regular basis and that it would be quality content. Chase, I will say this, if you're still listening. If you would like a Florida Gators live stream, anybody who wants a live stream, a team-specific live stream, get me a sponsor and I will do it. If you want a North Carolina State show every week, get me a sponsor and we'll do it. If you want a Florida Gators show every week, get me a sponsor, we'll do it. If you want a Coastal Carolina show every week, get me a sponsor, we'll do it. And then there's George, who always lets us know right there. Look at that. Look at George. So I'll play off that by saying if you go to Patreon and you search Mark Rogers TV and sign up for Patreon, it costs $5 a month. It's about 16 cents a day. And I am never going to tell you, I am never going to promise more than I can deliver. So this is what we got on Patreon. You got my predictions that may be good one week, lousy one week, but over the course of time, they're pretty damn good, actually. But still, you got my predictions. You've got a lock of the week, which isn't necessarily a lock of the week, but from Steve Merrill from Pro Sports Info. And I have told Steve that I would like to have him on to present money management tips, betting advice, a lot of insight that I think that a lot of you would enjoy, talking about betting and different betting angles and strategies and all of that. We also have an exclusive live stream that we have available to everyone per request. That's the key phrase, per request, an exclusive live stream. We've done about 15 or 16 of those per week. One per week, per request, and then also watch parties there, and an insider look into Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Some people that are on Patreon that are on the live chat right now know that that has just begun with some an insider look into who I am, what I've done, what I bring to the table, what we're going to do going forward, numbers on views and subs, and to bring you kind of into the deal. George, thank you so much for that. And I do appreciate the super chat that just came in from our guy Byrick. FSU chickened out. FSU chickened out, but Mike Norvell said today that he hopes to play Clemson in December. Now, I don't know if anybody drug tested him or if anybody gave him a lie detector test when he said that, but that's what Mike Norvell said today, that he hopes to play Clemson in December. Kurt W., thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love George's comments about YouTube. Mark Rogers doesn't need favors from YouTube. He needs you to join his Patreon page, even if you never go there. Please, I'm asking you. Thank you so much, George. Because there are many people on Patreon that have said, Mark, when I've asked, so I've asked this a zillion times on Patreon, what do you guys want here? And about 90% of the people just say, nothing. we're just throwing you a few bucks because we appreciate what you give us on YouTube. But other people want bonus content, and that's why they're there. And I totally respect that, of course. So I deliver that. Uncle Luke, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Am I missing anything in the stream? I think we need to move on to week 14. I was just about to give this a look. Week 14. And I'm going to tell all of you what I just talked about over the last 3 minutes. I never want to talk about. I hate talking about money. I hate talking about what we're trying to accomplish here. I really do. I wish it was just humming along and it was just coming in and we were just getting it done. And then I would never have to say anything. That's where we're trying to get. Okay, back to college football. This is what we've got going on. Oh, I started my ramble about the Egg Bowl not being on Thanksgiving this year because I started to look at the schedule. We've got Colorado State at Air Force on Thursday night. We've got New Mexico and Utah State. So while you're drifting off to sleep, crashing, just completely wiped out from everything you're going to stuff yourself with, you've got Colorado State and Air Force and New Mexico and Utah State. And if you're watching New Mexico and Utah State on Thanksgiving night, you are a true diehard. Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, one of my favorite days of football. This is what we've got. Iowa State at Texas, huge game in the Big 12. UMass and Liberty, if you've got the ESPN app. Southern Miss UAB. Nebraska, Iowa, always play the day after Thanksgiving. Notre Dame, North Carolina. Mark it down. We'll probably do a live stream right after North Carolina, Notre Dame. That will be a heck of a game. Luke, do you hear me? You there? You out there, Luke? Notre Dame, North Carolina. I know you already know this. 3:30 Eastern Time, Black Friday. We've also got UCF and USF. That used to be a good game. Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. Another big rivalry weekend kind of game. Wyoming, UNLV. Stanford, Cal. The game. No. The big game. The big game, right? Stanford, Cal. The big game. Oregon, Oregon State. Civil War. I don't care if they've outlawed that. It's stupid. It's the Civil War. Oregon, Oregon State. San Diego State and Fresno State. And then we've got Washington and Washington State for the Apple Cup. That's all on Friday. Great day of football on Friday. And then our Saturday starts with Ohio State and Illinois. And all these games have yet to be decided. A lot of them do. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's George.
Hey, George. You're my pitch man tonight. I appreciate that. You're selling it.
I fell asleep at 4 o'clock, and I woke up at 7.
Yeah.
And I caught the fourth quarter of Georgia versus Mississippi State.
What'd you think?
I'm still laughing. I just calmed down. It was great. It was awesome.
They were supposed to win that game by 4 touchdowns.
Kirby Smart was hiding JT Daniels from the country.
I don't get that.
I'm glad they didn't start JT Daniels versus Florida. That's all I can say.
I do.
400 yards without a running back or an offensive line.
I wanted to see a better game. I wish they would have started him.
Yeah, Kirby tried to throw the game, but JT Daniels won anyway, all by himself.
Well, you got a big game against Kentucky coming up this week.
Yeah, Kentucky's always tough.
Well, you might want to talk to
Kentucky
Alabama
is
about
like,
that.
Kentucky is like Rutgers, man. They are gritty. They are determined. And you cannot disrespect Rutgers or Kentucky. I love those guys.
You might want to talk to Nick Saban about that. I don't know that he thinks Kentucky's really that gritty.
Okay, you're right. But I'm just trying to, cheer up the Kentucky fans.
Yeah, we got a big weekend coming up here this weekend.
Mark, I'm not sure. You have like 30,000 followers now or something, right?
We got 22,000 here, and then we've got some other channels that add up to about 41,000.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, that's a good idea, by the way. It's so good, Mark, spreading out like that. It's smart having like 10 different channels for every team. That's smart.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Well, it safeguards us a few different ways.
What I want to know is this.
Yep.
This is a non-football subject. Do 20,000 people understand if we all send you $5 or $10 or $20 what that means? Can we calculate that? That'd be like $250,000 a year, and then you could quit sweating, like the details, and just do what you do.
Oh my goodness, George!
I really need everybody to get on board. $5, $10, come on.
$1 a month. How about that? $1 a month.
In all actuality, $1 would be great from 20,000 people. But everybody's not going to participate, so send $5.
Sure. No, they're not.
I mean, really, in all honesty, just $5. Come on, it's Christmas.
Well, I appreciate it, George. I appreciate all your help, man.
Look, this should break forth like a dam. Everybody should go join your Patreon page, even if we never go there. Just go, set up the deduction, 5, 10, 20 a month, and then we can keep having fun.
Oh my goodness, George. I'm telling you.
We do not want to see you
You're right.
going back to ESPN.
Well,
we want you to stay here where you're at.
I don't know that ESPN would take me back after what I did, but
I know. They probably would take you back, Mark.
I did send them a nice resignation letter. I took the high road. I didn't say some things that I wanted to.
It was that last letter, man.
Oh man.
If you ever need any help writing a letter, let me know. I'm really good at this shit.
Okay. Well, hopefully I've written my last letter. We're trying to dive into all this affiliate marketing, and I'm trying to learn about that and just trying to figure things out and trying to see if I can get sponsors and all of that. But
hey, Mark,
yep.
You should send Jeff Bezos a letter at Amazon and just say, hey, do you want all my television commercials, shit, advertising? Hey, just or PayPal or somebody get a big deal with Coca-Cola or something. Come on.
Yeah, I should. Mark,
I've done this before for small-time people.
Yeah.
I just went directly to Coca-Cola or Amazon, and they actually bought in. They need advertising. You follow me?
So how did you contact them?
A closed mouth does not get fed. You will figure it out.
Okay.
Like when the bird comes home with the food, if you don't open your beak and get the food, you don't get fed. A closed mouth does not get fed. I'm sure you can figure out how to contact Amazon.
I need to contact the right people at Amazon.
Or Coca-Cola, or PayPal, or whatever, some health insurance company. Just pick something and write them a letter. Put your thumbprint on there, have it notarized, and say, I will sell you all my TV advertising on the internet for $84,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah, to them, that's a drop in the bucket.
I've done this before. You just have to wing it, man. They're like, what? When their legal people get your letter, they're like, what is this? And then they all go over it like 10 times, and then they pay you.
All right. Maybe that's what I'll do on Thanksgiving Day with my family out of town. With my kids out of town, I'll just sit here and watch football and write letters to Coca-Cola, Dick's Sporting Goods, Amazon. I'll think of every Nike, every big place I can think of.
I can actually write the letter. I'll put it in the comment section after the show. It will say, Dear Amazon, my name is Mark Rogers. For $84,000 a year, you can have all my advertising next year. And then they'll go look at your channel and say, hell yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah, then I'll be having a big.
You have to be proactive.
Then I'll have a big Coca-Cola banner behind me all the time.
I woke up at 7 o'clock tonight, and Georgia was in the fourth quarter. That was fun. I'm sorry, I'm smoking a cigarette. I just lit it, and I burned up all the paper. Anyway, I woke up at 7-something tonight after watching the Florida game and taking a nap, and Georgia was playing Mississippi State. That was exciting.
Yeah, I know you're happy about seeing Georgia struggle, but they did win the game.
I am. No. I'm proud of JT Daniels. This isn't about Georgia. This is about JT Daniels. I love that young man. 401 yards, 28 of 38. Kirby Smart is over on the sidelines going, somebody stop him. Stop him. We're not allowed to pass.
I can't figure out how they only ran for 8 yards against Mississippi State when they're supposed to have one of the best running teams in the country, and then they gave it all to JT Daniels.
It's Kirby Smart.
It's almost
Kirby Smart.
yeah, it's almost like he told the rest of the team. It's like he almost told the rest of the team, lay down. I don't want you to do anything. Let's see if this kid can play. We're going to make him do everything.
Right. It was Kirby Smart sabotaging his team. He's like, okay, if he's going to keep passing the ball, we're just going to shut down the running game and the offensive line. Kirby Smart is a weirdo. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm just saying there's something wrong with that guy.
Well, when it comes to quarterbacks, we know there's something wrong with him.
I would rather see Dan Mullen wearing a Darth Vader suit than Kirby Smart trying to explain what he just did.
David Greenshield is letting us know that George knows weed, beer, and football.
Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Rutgers.
Okay.
I love Rutgers so much.
They almost beat Michigan.
Me and my brother went to the Florida game versus Rutgers like 20 years ago
Yeah.
at Ford Stadium in Steve Spurrier Stadium in the swamp. And Rutgers is the most gritty football team I've ever seen. I was sitting there watching this, and we won. But I was like, oh, my God, I love Rutgers. They come to play. They don't give you the game.
You know that wasn't the same team with the same guys as the guys that now play. Those guys are like 44 years old now.
I know. How do they keep up that tradition? It's amazing.
The tradition of Rutgers grit.
Of being gritty. They don't give up football games for free. You have to beat Rutgers to win.
When you're a football team and people call you gritty, you better be careful because that probably means that you suck.
Whatever. Georgia doesn't want to play them. I'll tell you that right now.
Georgia does. They want to stay far, far away from Rutgers. Don't want to play Rutgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not schedule Rutgers, Georgia. You will lose, and it will be embarrassing. It is so nice to talk to you once when I'm not drunk.
Yeah, maybe you should call a little bit earlier in the night one of these times, George.
Mark, I retired 20 years ago. It's amazing how many is still here to talk to you. I haven't done anything in 20 years. I just live for free. It's amazing.
I need to get into that racket.
If everybody joins your Patreon page, you can do that.
If everybody would join my Patreon page, I would just, again, like you said it perfectly. We would just have so much fun. We would just have a great time. All we do is get on here and just talk college football constantly. I'd be running live streams constantly, just talking up college football. That'd be the whole deal. And I'd make a nicer set. I'd have you guys say, you know, what should I do for a set? What would you guys like to see? And I'd have every helmet in the world up here.
It would be set mark free. You would be free to talk shit however you want to talk shit. You wouldn't be beholden to any fan base.
Well, George, come on. I certainly do not suck up to any fan base. I don't do that.
Free Willy.
I don't do that anyway.
Like Free Willy. It's just like Free Willy, free Mark. Everybody send Mark $5. You have 20,000 fans. That's 100,000 or 1 million or whatever it is. And then, you know, next year about this time, we can do this again. We wouldn't ever have to ask for a like again. We don't care if you hit the like button. Just $5 on Patreon.
Bo Weevil is right there with you.
I think we're going to do this, Mark. I think people are listening, and we understand you just left ESPN. I think you deserve the support.
Well, thank you, George. I appreciate it. We're going to do some more things on Patreon. I'm trying to figure out how to make it better there to attract more people over there.
Hey, Mark, I know most people don't understand what I'm talking about, but if I was betting on college football, which I'm not, I haven't bet yet, but if I was and I was following you on Patreon, I would be a gazillionaire right now.
Well, or maybe just a billionaire. Something in that range. Yeah.
Right. Everybody use your discretion. Don't bet money you can't lose. But if you're betting discretionary money, we would all be rich right now just following you on Patreon.
Maybe over the course of a number of years. I'm not having my best season this year, that's for sure. But
whatever. You were 16-4 last week or something like that.
1 week. Let's not sell that as the deal every week.
Right.
But we'll keep it.
Don't bet on football. It's a bad bet. But if you are going to bet, at least listen to Mark on Patreon before you bet.
Well, as David is telling us right here, Mark, I have told all my friends about you. The problem is I only have 2 friends.
Hey, that's how it works. It's exponential growth.
Yeah. Then they tell 2 friends. Sure. There you go.
2 friends, 4 friends, 6 friends, $1. All for Mark Rogers, stand up and holler.
All right, George. I think we're going to pack it up for the night.
All right.
It's been 2 hours.
See you later.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good night, Mark.
It's our guy, George. George has been coming on here for I don't know how long. It's been a long time. George has been coming on here. Getting even. Good to see you. Ray, Ryan, Byrick, Michael, Purdue. Sorry about last night. You got ripped off. David, of course, Bo, T. Wallace, a lot of great people in here. Thank you so much. Corey, I appreciate that. Love the show regardless. I hope you make it. You deserve it. We are going to make it. Come hell or high water, we're going to figure out how to make it. We'll leave it in the good Lord's hands, and we'll just do our best. Bust your tail, work hard, do your best, treat people the right way, do the right things. It's going to come together. And I'll take George's advice, and I'll start writing my letters to Amazon, Coke, Nike. That's what we'll do. All right. Still has yet to be announced whether I'll be back here tomorrow night at midnight, but I will be here definitely Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Monday through Friday, through at least the end of the football season, Monday through Friday, every night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, taking your phone calls on college football right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you Monday, maybe sooner. I'm on Pigskin Pete. We do a show on his channel every Monday at noon Eastern time, and we're going to bring that over here next month. So be looking out for that. So what we do on Pigskin Pete's channel every Monday at noon Eastern time, it's coming over here first thing in December. First Monday in December, Pigskin Pete right here every Monday at noon Eastern time for college football coast to coast. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you soon. My top 25 that actually makes sense. I'll watch USC Utah play the fourth quarter and be making it out for release tomorrow. See you soon. Thank you, Cheryl. Always appreciated. Thank you, George. Yes. Go to any video, go to the description section, grab the Patreon link there. Or you just go to Patreon and just type in Mark Rogers TV and you will find it there.